Congress has passed a stopgap today to ensure that the government will not shut down, only until next week.
Also, we sit down with Nisa Chan for an exclusive interview.
We have all this and more. You're watching Studio G. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Studio G. I'm Giselle De Los Reyes.
And I'm Albania Guido. The threat of government shutdown reached fever pitch this week, but disaster was averted near the edge of the deadline, allowing the government to keep the lights on. Pressure on the president came from all sides when it came to proposed projects on the to-do list for Trump: a wall along the southern border costing more than $1 million, a sought-after plan for a healthcare reform, and other policy goals were debated as to whether they should be included in the new budget plan. Mick Mulvaney, the current White House budget director, explained the goals for the White House during this cycle.
At least the offer that we received from the Democrats the last couple of days included a good bit of money for border security. The Democrats said they go to the mat and shut the government down over the border wall, the bricks and mortar. But there's a lot of things we agree on, both parties do, in securing the border, and it allows the president to follow through on his promise to make that border more secure, stop people coming over, stop drugs from coming over. So there's things we can do by way of maintenance and technology, gates, bridges, roads, that kind of stuff that make a real difference in that southern border security.
The vote for a budget plan was quickly decided and occurred with little objection. The vote took place this morning with the White House passing a stopgap bill to prevent the shutdown altogether.
The joint resolution is passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Though plans for the border wall with Mexico and the plan for healthcare reform were debated, Democrats conceded the point that their opinions and votes don't pose a threat to a government shutdown since they are so low of the minority within Congress. The ramifications of a government shutdown, though avoided, will return as a public concern once again next week when the next step in another budget plan is voted and decided on.
UNLV students got a chance to network with over 100 employers. Ashley Renan took a trip to the student union to find out more.
The ties are going up and the resumes are being handed out here at the internship and job fair inside of the student union.
Over 100 employers from a variety of different industries set up inside of the student union ballroom, looking for their perfect candidates for summer jobs and internships.
My name is Terry Christopher. I'm the Associate Director for the Great Basin Institute.
I'm Richie Gruber, here with Dewey Pest Control.
I'm Officer Antonio Clay with the California Highway Patrol. We're looking for uniform and non-uniform employees. Uniform means officers carry a gun. Non-uniform, we're looking for 911 dispatchers, we're looking for HR, accounting.
Some employers gave us the inside scoop on what they consider to be the perfect candidate.
You know, the fact that they're in college and they're going through it and they're studying and they're academic, we like that, just people that don't quit. Even if you have to take time off, just don't quit. The Highway Patrol is looking for people that are dedicated.
Someone who's interested in the outdoors, interested in environmental science, interested in just general outdoor ecology.
Many students were dressed for success and armed with resumes, hoping to land the perfect internship or summer job.
So I'm trying to find a new job for myself, and I'm looking for a summer internship too. So I spoke to a couple companies. It went pretty good.
Students shared what they considered to be the keys to success.
Just nice, be professional,
be
prepared, don't be shy. Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Reporting for Studio G, I'm Ashley Renan.
Other employers in attendance included Banjo, Aflac, and Tesla.
Last week, KUNV hosted its second annual Reb Fest. Annabelle Rocha has the story.
Today, KUNV is hosting their second annual Reb Fest, where they'll be highlighting local artists from across the valley.
Once again, this is Reb Fest, put on by KUNV 91.5 The Source and the Rebel HD2. That is our student-run station.
I attended the event to give rebels who weren't able to be there a little taste of what the fest had to offer.
See how we live. Yeah. I cannot see heaven being much better than this. Yeah. Blessings on blessings for me and my niggas from the six. Look at what we did. Yeah.
Tell me that you into me. Then y'all will sing. Body to body. No negativity. And then y'all say. Yeah, that sounds good. Tell me that you're into me. Sing it.
It's been a beautiful day full of great performances. For Studio G, I'm Annabelle Rocha.
Looks like KUNV ended this semester on just the right note.
Amalia Zafar, Muslim boxer in Minnesota, changed the rules of the game. She was disqualified after refusing to remove her hijab in a competition. This led the young teen to make a difference for Muslim women who wish to compete in boxing with the hijab not hiding their true religion. She wanted to be able to fight while wearing a hijab, but because of the rules of USA boxing, she couldn't be in the ring with it on. She decided to give it a shot to change the rules of the sport since she felt it was injustice and it's been a long male-dominated sport that needs to change.
Like injustice. I was like, I paid to be a member of USA Boxing, but I don't get to compete. You know, that didn't feel right.
After multiple appeals, Amaya succeeded, and Jailani Hussein of the Council of American Islamic Relations applauds the decision.
She is not only boxing for herself, but for a lot of young girls who now actually can look at that sport as an option.
Amaya is only 16 years old, but don't estimate her ability to throw punches. She loves to box, but when she steps into the Minneapolis gym to train, spar with other opponents, she's out to change the rules of boxing. Amaya Zafar did it with determination and managed to help others that were having the same issue. After the break, we'll take a look at some of the biggest sports headlines going on around the country.
Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
This is a nutrition center. Anyone from the Las Vegas community is welcome. We can get more people into the nutrition center, get them more educated, then they can learn what ways to prevent chronic diseases and to become healthier individuals. All classes are held in BHS building, Bigelow Health Sciences, room 212, and the times vary, but you could always check them at the UNLV calendar or UNLV Today, and all the classes, times, and descriptions are available there.
Our Metropolis is a 30-minute show that airs every Tuesday evening at 91.5. You're going to hear Dr. Gary Larson along with our regular contributors talking about what matters to our community. And not only what matters, but why does it matter? We look at our community as a whole, but we also pay special attention to what's happening here at UNLV because that's our home as well. So looking at our Metropolis through the lens of a radio show really gives us the unique perspective to tell a story through words and through people, and I think it makes for a great program.
Welcome back, Rebels. Thanks for sticking with us.
Let's see what our weekend weather is looking like. What do you have for us, James?
Thank you so much, ladies. Well, let's break it down for you. We're in a nice 64 today. Our high is up there at 73. Our low is in 56. Now, those lows in 56s won't last for too long. We'll see them pandering out a little bit and padding out towards some hotter weather for our lows later into the week, looking past Tuesday. But for the time being, I only got one picture for you today just to really encapsulate what's going on out in Henderson, and it's the Foodie Fest. We got taco trucks, we got green trucks, we got hamburger trucks, and I'll tell you what, with all that food, there's a lot to taco about. But let's go ahead and look at our 5-day forecast. 73 and 88. 88 for our Tuesday weather. Mostly sunny, but sun, and more sun, as you can see. But as we're continuing along, the 70s, the high 70s to mid 70s, we're going to be having a short little departure from our 70s, going into our 80s for the rest of the week. The lows will remain in the high 50s to low 60s. But we're not going to see that trend continue much more often going into the rest of this week and going into the rest of this month either. Let's go ahead and take a look at our weather across the valley. We have a wind coming in. That's really the big story for today. 59 is our lowest for today up in Centennial and Summerlin, while our highest today is coming in at Boulder City and Henderson at 66. But these winds are coming in from the northwest and coming down towards the valley. And right now those winds are about in the 15, 16 area. 33 miles per hour is where it really starts blowing up. But 64, like I said, is our weather, our current temperature right now, which is nice and cool. If you're outside today, enjoy yourself, but be sure to mind out for the wind. Currently it's at 16 miles per hour, and one thing to keep in mind there is that although the winds are quite steady right now, they will pick up for the rest of the night. 33 miles per hour, if you can believe that. So if you have any sort of belongings, hats, umbrellas, or small children, make sure to keep them close by because they might just blow away. Looking at our national weather, here's the big story for today. We have some lightning storms coming up from Dallas all the way to Kentucky. And really, you want to keep in mind that we're getting into tornado season. We're not there just yet, but those systems that we have with some real stormy weather really is a telltale sign for the rest of this season. So if you see some lightning, just make sure to bolt and be indoors. That's all I have for your weather today, and back to you ladies in the studio.
Thank you, James. Things in the sports world are really heating up, right, Jessica?
That's right, ladies. I'm Jessica Vargas, and I have your top sports headlines for today. While the country is seemingly accepting the use of marijuana more and more, Roger Goodell, current commissioner for the NFL, has made it clear the NFL will not change its stance on the issue. The NFL's current policy is giving out 4-game suspensions for those that test positive. Goodell explained that they don't rule out the option of marijuana for medical issues as long as medical advisors feel that it has a benefit. Even with all the changes in legalization of marijuana, it looks like we won't be seeing any in the NFL for some time. ESPN cutting a number of its most familiar faces as part of a layoff of 100 on-air personalities and writers. Among those affected are prominent NFL reporter Ed Werder, former NFL quarterback and analyst Trent Dilfer, senior baseball writer Jason Stark, and host Jay Crawford. Most were notified of the cuts on Wednesday, and many of the layoffs took effect immediately. ESPN is shifting its focus toward digital as it faces subscriber losses and increased pressure on cost. Many of the people laid off are coming to end of their contracts and didn't want to accept large pay cuts. ESPN President John Skipper says the changing habits of viewers impacted talented people who have done great work for our company. U.S. women's hockey team shoots for equality and scores. For 14 months and 3-time defending world championships were located in a battle with the sport's governing body. USA Hockey, the team was asking for equal pay and benefits with their male counterparts and fair treatment. The team declared its intention to boycott this year's International Ice Hockey Federation World Championship. If a deal was not met with just days before the championship, the women's team agreed to a 4-year deal. The financial terms were not released. They were also promised a group that will oversee the advancement of women's and girls hockey. The deal and its progress are a huge moment for progress in gender equality in sports. The first round of the 2017 NFL Draft is complete, but there are still plenty of quality players on board. Here's a look at some of the top prospects that will be available round 2 of the draft. Continues this evening. Deshaun Kaiser, quarterback for Notre Dame, is blessed with excellent physical tools, but his extreme confidence may have turned some teams off. Cam Robinson, offensive tackle for Alabama, should easily be a starter, but an arrest for marijuana and possession of stolen handguns raises concerns for some character issues. Finally, Dalvin Cook, running back for Florida State, is widely considered one of the top 3 backs, and multiple surgeries on his shoulders and knees raise concerns to other coaches. So that story about Maya Zafar, isn't that great? Just how much she has been inspiring people that no matter what religion you're in, you should be able to box, be in the ring, and do your thing.
Definitely, being so young, people can definitely look up to her, standing up for her, what she believes in. So thank you for that. Yeah. Speaking of NFL, the quarterback Colin Kaepernick suffered backlash last season after kneeling down during the national anthem prior to games to protest police brutality. Yuri Andreashuk has a story on his future in the NFL.
NFL free agent Colin Kaepernick has had one of the most controversial NFL seasons in recent memory. Prior to the 2016 season, he started to kneel down during the national anthem before the San Francisco 49ers preseason games. This would continue into the NFL regular season. Kaepernick's reasoning for the protests against the anthem was for the constant police brutality towards people of color in America. Teammate Eli Harold and the Miami Dolphins' Michael Stills and Kenny Thomas also knelt during the anthem. Other players raised a fist in the air during the anthem as their forms of protest. Kaepernick faced much criticism for his actions, but he made it known that it was not disrespect towards the troops, but to fight against social injustices. UNLV students weighed in if the NFL is against Kaepernick and who he can possibly sign with in free agency.
He's definitely being blackballed by the NFL. That's what I believe. It seems like anyone who speaks their opinion about social injustice in America, there is going to be a backlash, especially if you're a person of color. And people didn't like, what he did with the flag. They felt that was disrespectful. I disagree. I don't think it was disrespectful to service workers, people who are serving this country. I thought he was just trying to make a point. The teams that can use the services of Kaepernick, I would say definitely the Jets. But I'm a little eerie about that because of the New York media, and, that might be too much of a clash. The Cleveland Browns, they can use the services depending on how they draft. They haven't been drafting really well as of late.
Kaepernick is now a free agent after opting out of his contract with the 49ers. Many feel that he may not get signed due to his political stances and not for his decline as a quarterback. For Studio G, I'm Yuri Andreashuk.
Colin Kaepernick remains unsigned as he is still testing NFL free agency in hopes for a new contract.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we sit down with Nisa Chan, a local media artist, for an exclusive interview. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is a nutrition center. Anyone from the Las Vegas community is welcome. We can get more people into the nutrition center, get them more educated, then they can learn what ways to prevent chronic diseases and to become healthier individuals. All classes are held in BHS building, Bigelow Health Sciences, room 212, and the times vary, but you could always check them at the UNLV calendar or UNLV Today, and all the classes, times, and descriptions are available there.
Your community's farmers market. Welcoming, lively, friendly. A place where neighbors and friends come together to celebrate their community. With over 50 vendors, organic, sustainable, fresh produce are available just for you. Support and buy local at Fresh 52.
Welcome back. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Nisa Chan, a local media artist and the creator of Forced Trajectory Project. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Malik.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Forced Trajectory Project? What is it exactly?
Sure. It's a long-term documentary project that I've been working on for the last 8 years. I work with families affected by police violence, and I interview them and I get their stories, and then I create documentary shorts and release them.
And last night you had an event based on one of those, and it was the last time that it happened in Las Vegas, and you had a panel based on that. Can you tell me about the event last night?
Sure. So Keith Childress was the victim. He was killed in December 31st, 2015. He was the last known person to be killed by U.S. law enforcement in the nation in 2015. He wasn't the last Las Vegas killing, however. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we had the mother come. Her name is Jackie Lawrence. She came, and we had a panel. So we featured the documentary short, and then we also had a little discussion around it, and then we had the panel.
Wonderful. And what were some of the things that you discussed?
We talked about, well, right now we're campaigning. So I work with an organization called Families United for Justice, and we're campaigning for 30 to 50 family members to travel to Detroit, and we're going to be covering their hotel costs and their travel costs. And we're going to be convening to talk about, have a very important discussion about police violence as a public health issue.
And so doing it in Detroit, is there a significance to that?
Sure. So our host is the Allied Media Conference, which is a conference that's there every year. It's like a networking space for social justice organizers and media makers.
Perfect. And can you tell me what Forced Trajectory Project means? What does that mean?
So, okay, so a lot of the families, police violence is something that's pretty prevalent in our society, and when our society doesn't really know what happens to the family members after their loved one is killed by the police. What we find is that they're kind of forced into this path where they don't have any services, they don't know where to turn to, they don't know who to talk to, who to trust. So it's called forced trajectory because they're forced into this path that's kind of, very nightmarish, that starts with the killing of their loved one.
And what is something that kind of got you started in this? Why is it important to you to talk about this?
So I got into anti-racism work around 2008. I became very passionate about anti-racist work when I was a special educator for Brooklyn Public Schools and witnessed myself how Black and brown children were being treated in our education system. And so through that, I became interested in working more, especially as a visual media artist, and how media can support these kinds of struggles.
And you're originally from New York, so what are some of the differences that you've noticed just being a media artist in New York versus Las Vegas, and police brutality in New York versus Las Vegas?
Well, in general, I think in New York, people are just more hip to understanding what's happening because we see, this is an urban community, people on top of other people. If I was here, it'd be like 200 people in front of me right now, if I was on like Fifth Avenue in New York or something. And what I notice about, in other places like a suburban setting like Las Vegas is that people generally keep to themselves. There's not that much social interaction. And so that really changes the dynamic, the social dynamic, and the awareness, the social awareness of the community.
Perfect. And just one last question. So I know that you are a plant-based vegan, so your diet takes a part in social justice as well. Can you tell me what that means to you?
Sure. I really practice ahimsa. Ahimsa is it means nonviolence. It's a practice of nonviolence. And I really believe that what you ingest, becomes a part of you. And so, becoming vegan about 2 years ago, I was really passionate about just going down that path of not taking part in violence,
And people can go to Families United for Justice to donate to the cause for
There's
Detroit.
a link, and we will share it, right? Yeah. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll be sure to post that once we get the link. Perfect.
Great.
Well, yeah,
Great.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Studio G. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all the time that we have. We want to thank Nisa for stopping by. And next week, Ashley Renan was actually able to go to the event, so you'll be able to see it next week on Studio G. So after the break, we will see why a rhinoceros is making headlines in the online dating world. We'll be right back.
I think we're feeling excited about the prospects. We know we're going to drop a lot of time, hopefully break a few records, and I think that the team is ready to go.
I'm pretty excited. We've done very well as a team this year, and I think coming into Taper, I think we're going to do really well these next few weeks.
More of the Music Mondays. Rap, hip-hop, R&B too. I like to play any new upcoming music, new albums, new mixtapes. I like to open up with maybe kind of like a hype song that gives people energy. Just play any type of good music and then give people a rundown what's going on currently in hip-hop. Just good vibes, good music. A lot of radio stations don't keep up with playing good music. So that's really the goal. This is Jalen Young on More Than Music Mondays. Check me out on the Rebel HD2.
Swipe right to save an endangered rhino. That's right, a rhinoceros dubbed the world's most eligible bachelor is debuting on Tinder, and a swipe right could help save his species. Studio G reporter Alyssa Truesdale has the details.
A rhino is searching for a hookup that might save his species. Sudan is the last male northern white rhinoceros on Earth, and he just joined Tinder. His satirical profile on the dating site says he's one of a kind. Sudan, who lives in Kenya, has been dubbed the most eligible bachelor in the world by the team caring for him. But while he has 2 potential suitors remaining, he needs the internet's help to make the magic happen. The Al-Pajeda Conservancy, in charge of Sudan's care, hopes to raise funds for one final attempt to save the imperiled species. He's no spring chicken. 43-year-old Sudan has failed to successfully mate with the 2 female northern white rhinos left, and the Conservancy is seeking funding for in vitro fertilization. Tinder users who swipe right on Sudan's profile will be directed to a site where the public can donate to help Sudan on his mission to go forth and multiply. CEO of the Al-Pajeda Conservancy had this to say.
We have to develop techniques to remove eggs, oocytes, from the 2 remaining females. We have to then mature those eggs, which in itself is a very difficult thing to do for various reasons which I don't need to go into, to create an embryo, successfully freeze and store that embryo, and then in time find a technique to reintroduce that embryo back into surrogate southern white rhino females.
IVF is common in humans and other domestic livestock such as cattle, but it's never been done in rhinos. It's estimated that the Conservancy needs $9 to $10 million to make this happen, thus the partnership with Tinder. The page received so many hits it crashed within hours of the profile going live. For Studio G, I'm Alyssa Truesdale.
Poachers hunt rhinos for their horns, and for the northern white rhino, the situation really has become life or death. Sudan is under 24/7 armed guard on the Conservancy's 90,000-acre wildlife refuge in central Kenya. He lives with 2 female northern white rhino counterparts, Najin and Fatu, the only 2 female survivors of their subspecies. They have been unable to breed naturally due to a range of issues, including old age.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. When taking a trip to the zoo, one looks forward to seeing all of the animal exhibits, but definitely not a woman giving birth. Kamika Hubbard and Justin Hubbard became parents at a zoo in Nebraska. Drea Hubbard has welcomed to this world in a unique and different way. Kamika Hubbard explains how she was in the restroom while the birth was about to happen.
Mom, come on. So she came into the other restroom and got me. And she was like, okay, maybe you can make it to the car. And I said, I don't think I can make it to the car, Mom.
The family started making their way towards their car, but didn't get far.
And I got halfway up the hill and my water broke. I was like, her head. And he was like, what do you mean her head? And I was like, her head. And he was like, her head. And then he was like, he fell down there. He was like, oh my God, she's having the baby.
Justin Hubbard had no choice but to deliver his new baby girl. While acting upon the delivery, the Hubbards had a group of people watching their new daughter being born. As a brand new dad, Justin shares with the press his thoughts about the experience.
Crying, cooing, and it was just the most beautiful thing that a man could ever see. I mean, it was a truly blessed experience.
That sounds like a wild delivery. Now the Hubbards can take another trip to the zoo while having a memory that will last for a lifetime.
That's all for our show today. Make sure to follow us on social media at UNLV Studio.
Thanks for tuning in. We will see you again here next week at Studio G.